So many people look at walking as a very trivial thing. And sometimes they'll think it's just kind of a waste of time because think about how much production or productive things you can do in place of walking for 45 minutes. Well, after today's video, that might change your mind because walking is probably one of the most therapeutic things you can do. And the majority of these benefits I'm going to talk about related to walking are things that you probably have never heard before. I mean, we know walking helps you, maybe lose some weight, maybe reduce stress, but how does it reduce stress? That's the question. The first point I'm going to dive right in is this. When you walk, you significantly lower your cortisol levels, even after a 20-minute walk. So what does this mean? When you have high levels of cortisol, your body is in this adapt mode. It's adapting your physiology to your environment, to stress. So walking turns off that mechanism. So you're less in this flight or fight sympathetic dominance mode and more in the parasympathetic. So that's why you feel calmer. That's why you feel less stressed, because now the body is not stuck in this stress reaction mode. And so with lowered levels of cortisol and adrenaline, you're going to feel better. Even on DNA testing, there's a certain gene that causes the person to hold on to adrenaline longer. Okay. And the remedy for that is to exercise and flush it out. Not necessarily always high intensity, but some low intensity, long walks. All right, number two, which relates to number one, you're going to have improved creativity. And what I mean by that is more creative thinking. Think about this. When you're in stress mode and you have high levels of cortisol, what is your level of creativity? It's pretty low. It's almost impossible to be creative when you're under stress, when you have high levels of cortisol. And this definitely relates to problem solving as well, because when you solve problems, you need creativity. And when you have stress, you're not really good at solving problems like you would if you were more calm and you had more creativity. Going on a long walk gives you this new space, this ability to look at things a little bit easier. It gives you space between you and the problem. So the problem is not like all up here. You have space now. You can kind of look at it. You can kind of play with it. You can come up with solutions. Number three, which relates to number two, this is going to affect your overall mood. You're going to have less anxiety. You'll be less depressed. All right, number four, the mitochondria inside your cells, which is the energy factory, in most diseases are associated with damaged mitochondria. They call it a problem with your metabolism. And that really relates to how well that your cells are fed fuel and get oxygen and etc. So when you go on long walks, you enhance the quality of mitochondria. You enhance the numbers of mitochondria. Mitochondria become more efficient at burning fuel. And the better your mitochondria work, the less diseases you'll have. Number five, and this is interesting, exercise, especially walking, increases microbial diversity. You'll have more diverse types of microbes. That's pretty wild, which is going to help a lot of things. It's going to help your immune system. It's going to help your digestion. It's going to help your energy. And number six, walking improves or increases your endogenous antioxidants. What does endogenous mean? It means something from within. In other words, your body has the ability to create antioxidants. And when you do walks, you actually create more of your own antioxidants. And this is nothing to do with what you're eating. Your body's just making more antioxidant networks, which is going to help you fight off free radicals. It's going to actually help with longevity. It's going to help prevent a lot of problems. All right, number seven, walking actually increases your natural killer cells. These are part of the immune system, and they actually kill cancer cells and viruses. Well, walking increases the natural killer cells. All right, number eight, walking improves insulin and glucose sensitivity. So if you have insulin resistance, if you have a problem with glucose, walking improves this to the point where it can significantly decrease the resistance to insulin, which is going to help your blood sugars. So if you're a diabetic or a pre-diabetic, walking is awesome. And even if you have the dawn phenomena where you wake up in the morning and your blood sugars are high, going for a long walk can burn off that sugar. And that's what happens for the first, I don't know, about 25, 30 minutes is you burn off all this extra sugar you have, and then you start burning fat. All right, number 9. And this is interesting because, yes, it is true when you walk, you get more oxygen, but it's not about getting more oxygen in your blood. It's about what happens between your blood cells and your tissue cells. Are you absorbing more oxygen from that blood saturation? Okay, like even if you do an intense workout where you're breathing heavily, right? You think you're getting all this air, but it's kind of like having a cup that's filled with water, and then you try to add more water to it. It's already filled. It just kind of flows over. That's what happens when you exercise intensely. When you're over breathing, you're getting all this oxygen, but it's not being delivered into the tissues. In fact, you probably feel like you have to breathe harder to get more oxygen into the tissues. But here's the key. It is true that you need oxygen, right? But to deliver and transport that oxygen, CO2 is needed. CO2 is not just a waste product. It's essential to make sure that oxygen is delivered deep into the tissues. So whereas certain type of high intensity exercise is good for certain things, walking is good for getting oxygen deep into the cells because you're not breathing too much. You're not flooding your body with too much oxygen. You're getting a nice balance of oxygen and CO2, which is the key to deliver that oxygen, especially if you breathe through your nose. Okay, you'll get like 20% more oxygen if you're walking. And for people that walk maybe a little bit faster, they are generating lactic acid. And then acid tends to inhibit oxygen. So what happens in your blood is you have certain things that are alkaline. They're called bicarbonates, and that's going to help neutralize this lactic acid fairly quickly. And then the byproduct chemistry of that is H2O, water, and carbon dioxide. So your body actually is getting CO2 from that process as well. All right, number 10, bone density increases when walking. Interesting. Number 11, reduced inflammation. You're also reducing stiffness, but motion in general and getting this oxygen to the tissues is going to help reduce inflammation. And the last thing that walking will do is enhance your vision, and from several different ways. First of all, you get more oxygen to your brain, and your retina is a part of your brain sticking out into your eyeball. And also, you're going to improve insulin sensitivity, which is going to help your eyes, your kidneys, your nerves, because it's going to help blood sugars. So, this is why you should make walking a very important, good habit in your life. Now, just to balance this video, I think the next video for you to watch is the importance of high intensity interval training. Check it out. I put it right here.